Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
Our sources explain it all. For more information on upcoming shows or to suggest shows, email brianhayward2026@gmail.com. And now let's get into our show. Hayward Podworks is vision, deep dives into any topic.
If you're listening to this, chances are you are already chasing that one elusive resource that seems to be in a permanent shortage.
Energy.
It feels like a modern epidemic. We live in this results-focused society that, it constantly pushes us to expend ourselves externally.
To create, to achieve, to perform.
Exactly. And we so often overlook the fact that this constant output is just draining our internal reserves.
Right. And that chronic fatigue, the burnout that follows, it isn't just about needing more sleep. That's a huge misconception.
So what is it then?
It really stems from neglecting that inner strength, that total system.
And that's really the core realization we need to start with. When people talk about energy, they almost always just picture the physical side.
Yeah. The ability to run a mile or lift a heavy box. Mm. But for this deep dive, we have to look at the total system.
Which is?
Energy is fundamentally physical, mental, and emotional. Mm-hmm. All three. You deplete all of them when you exercise, sure, but also when you think intensely on a project or just navigate a difficult conversation.
So if those three components aren't replenished, and I mean daily, the system doesn't just slow down.
No, it collapses. That's what leads to that devastating burnout. It limits the sheer quantity of tasks you can handle.
And the quality of the work you do manage to push through just plummets.
It's a vicious cycle of low output and high stress.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to cut through all of that noise. We've synthesized a stack of sources to pull out the truly actionable high-impact strategies.
The surprising nuggets.
Exactly. Across diet, movement, organization, and stress management. Our goal is to give you simple, integrated steps to reverse that exhaustion and rebuild a genuine three-dimensional vitality.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start by defining the enemy. Fatigue.
It's that pervasive feeling of lethargy, of weakness, and exhaustion. But we have to make a key distinction right away.
Between temporary fatigue.
Right, like after pulling an all-nighter. Rest can usually solve that. But then there's chronic fatigue, which is long-term, and might signal something much more serious is going on under the hood.
And we can break that down even further.
We can. We break it into physical and mental fatigue. Physical is pretty straightforward. You lack the sheer muscular strength for daily tasks.
So you find it hard to climb a flight of stairs, or maybe you can't carry the groceries in one trip anymore.
Your body is just running inefficiently.
But the more insidious one, I think, is mental fatigue, the psychological kind.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just feeling a bit sleepy. This is difficulty concentrating, feeling mentally foggy. It's when simple cognitive tasks feel overwhelming.
We've all had those moments, right? Where trying to remember a common word feels like a monumental effort.
That's why it is so critical not to confuse it with simple sleepiness, what doctors call somnolence, which usually just means you need more rest. Mental fatigue is about low processing power, not just a need for shut-eye.
So if we want to reverse this, we have to find the root cause. And our sources point to a kind of triple threat.
The first one is lifestyle factors. These are the things we do every day. Relying too heavily on alcohol or caffeine, poor eating habits, or just not getting enough sleep.
Then you have psychological factors.
And this is where that physical, mental, emotional model really integrates. Common mental health challenges, stress, depression, anxiety, grief, they don't just affect your mind.
They're massive energy sinks.
Huge. Dealing with that unresolved psychological debt drains your emotional energy so thoroughly that it absolutely impacts your physical and mental reserves.
But here's the crucial check, the real deep dive nugget here. medical factors.
Yes. If you are experiencing chronic fatigue that rest just doesn't cure, you absolutely must talk to a doctor.
This isn't just about catching a cold. We're talking about serious conditions that can mimic exhaustion.
Things like unstable blood sugar from type 1 or type 2 diabetes, or sleep apnea, where you literally stop breathing at night and never get restorative rest.
Or even chronic inflammation.
And the sources specifically call out toxic exposure. Look, it's not always about a single massive poisoning event.
It can be more subtle.
Way more subtle. Constant low-level exposure to things like chemical solvents, heavy dust, or chlorine forces your body's internal systems, especially the liver and kidneys, to divert a massive amount of energy toward detoxification.
So your body is basically running an internal emergency cleanup all the time.
Constantly. And that energy draw is what makes you feel so profoundly fatigued. So once you rule out these major medical drains, then we can focus on the actionable fuel strategies.
That's a perfect transition. Let's talk about fuel. We all know the trap.
The 3 p.m. slump.
Exactly. You hit a wall, so you reach for the sugar, a candy bar, a sugary energy drink. You get that instant boost, but because those simple sugars spike your insulin so fast,
you get a nasty crash about an hour later. You've just paid a massive energy debt for a fleeting high.
So to avoid that vicious cycle, the research points to sustainable energy sources.
Foods high in protein and, crucially, complex carbohydrates.
And the mechanism here is key, right?
It's everything. Complex carbs digest much slower. They prevent that rapid insulin spike, which stabilizes the whole hormonal system that usually crashes after pure sugar.
So it keeps your blood glucose levels steady, providing that prolonged energy and keeping you feeling full.
Think whole grain crackers with peanut butter or some low-fat cheese.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. There's one element that is absolutely essential for sustained vitality.
Magnesium.
Magnesium. It's a cofactor in over 300 biochemical processes. But for our topic today, what's its main job?
Its main job is converting the glucose in your blood into usable cellular energy. It is literally the key that unlocks the fuel.
And what happens when you're deficient? I found this fascinating.
It's a huge deal. Because that energy conversion pathway slows down, your body has to work harder just to maintain basic functions.
You tire more easily.
Much more easily. Studies show magnesium-deficient people often get an increased heart rate and shortness of breath during activity, not because their cardio is weak, but because their body is frantically trying to compensate for inefficient fuel usage. You're draining yourself faster.
So if you're feeling sluggish, check those levels. You can get magnesium from great sources like fish halibut is a standout, whole grains, almonds, hazelnuts, and cashews.
And let's talk about eating strategy. Instead of infrequent, huge meals that cause bloating and sluggishness.
Because your body is now diverting all its energy just to digestion.
Precisely. The sources recommend power snacking. Eating smaller meals and nutritious snacks throughout the day, like yogurt, nuts, or fruit, keeps your blood sugar stable and your energy output consistent.
Timing matters, too. I mean, we need to re-emphasize the importance of breakfast.
It is the foundational fuel for mental productivity.
And conversely, eating a really heavy lunch or dinner just drags your energy down, especially in the afternoon. It makes you feel so mentally foggy.
So, a satisfying start to the day, and then lighter, easily digestible meals later on.
And we can't forget the basics, but with a twist. We all know to drink water. Aim for at least 8 cups a day to avoid that sluggishness.
But you should also include soluble fiber, things like oats, beans, nuts. Soluble fiber actually slows down the rate that sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream.
Which helps prevent those classic energy crashes.
Exactly. And a quick word on stimulants. We lean so heavily on coffee, soda, and nicotine for a boost. But that reliance becomes counterproductive really fast.
Because it just exhausts your adrenal gland.
It forces a temporary peak only to leave your system depleted, demanding more and more stimulation just to get back to a baseline level of function.
Finally, let's talk about cleansing foods.
This is about reducing that internal cleanup burden we mentioned earlier. The source is stress foods that help detoxify the system and clear out free radicals.
Like cabbage and broccoli.
Fantastic liver cleansers. Also beets, avocados, asparagus, garlic, green tea, lemongrass, and wheatgrass. Incorporating these just helps lighten that internal load.
That's a great bridge. We've talked about the body's fuel. Now let's transition to the body's engine and its maintenance. Movement, rest, and relaxation.
And we have to address the paradox of exercise first.
Right. When you are tired, the absolute last thing you want to do is move. It feels so counterintuitive.
But the research is crystal clear. Exercise is a potent anti-fatigue strategy.
Why, though? What's the mechanism?
It all comes down to efficiency. Exercise improves your endurance, and critically, it distributes oxygen and nutrients to your cells more efficiently.
So your cells get what they need with less effort.
Right. Your body isn't working as hard to complete the same task. You spend less energy to produce the same result, which leaves you with more in reserve.
The benefits are huge. Physical strength, of course, but also stress release, which is massive for your emotional energy.
And different activities help in different ways. Yoga is great for flexibility and boosting your metabolic rate, which improves fuel usage. Running or walking actively clears the mind, tackling mental fatigue.
And Tai Chi is specifically cited for increasing vitality and improving sleep quality and cognitive function.
And you don't need to go out and train for a triathlon. The sources are clear on this. Simple changes. Taking the stairs, parking a little farther away, finding a hobby you enjoy like hiking. They make your body stronger over time and significantly decrease fatigue.
So moving to the opposite end of the spectrum, we need deep restorative rest.
Aiming for 8 hours is the standard, but it's the consistency that's really key.
Establishing a regular bedtime and wake-up routine.
Exactly. It allows your body to align its circadian rhythms and ideally to wake up naturally without the jarring shock of an alarm clock.
And you can use short naps to make up for deficits without disrupting that whole cycle.
But we also have to be mindful of the vices that actively sabotage deep sleep.
Let's talk about alcohol. We all know it has a sedative effect. It makes you feel heavy and tired.
But, and this is the crucial part, it actively prevents the deep sleep stages. So you might spend 8 hours in bed, but if you haven't achieved those restorative cycles, you wake up feeling completely unrefreshed.
The same goes for smoking. Nicotine is a major energy zapper.
Oh, huge. People who successfully quit often report that their energy levels double or even triple, and they see a sharp reduction in that low-level moodiness and irritability that constantly drains emotional energy all day.
Okay, so finally, true relaxation. When we want to recharge, the sources strongly recommend hobbies that relax the mind and body.
Gardening, reading, baking, woodworking.
They actually caution against treating screen time, like watching TV or playing complex video games, as relaxation.
Because those activities still require continuous cognitive engagement. It keeps the mental meter running high.
And that's why meditation is such a powerful tool for boosting vitality and managing stress, especially emotional stress.
Right. Regular practice trains your body to activate its relaxation response, which lowers the production of cortisol.
Cortisol, the stress hormone.
The primary stress hormone. It's directly linked to chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, and weight gain. When you lower cortisol, you stabilize your entire system.
And it doesn't have to be complicated to start.
Not at all. The simple startup steps are just sitting comfortably, closing your eyes, and focusing on your natural breath. The sensation of air moving in and out. Even 2 or 3 minutes can start to shift your physiological response to stress.
And listening to genuinely soothing music like certain classical pieces is also shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and fatigue.
So let's move into our final area, which I think integrates physical, mental, and emotional health more than any other.
Clearing the mental clutter. Organization and stress avoidance.
Chaos is exhausting. It just is. Whether it's physical clutter in your home or mental clutter in your head, it costs you cognitive energy.
Every time you see a mess or have to remember a forgotten task, you're paying a little cognitive switching tax.
And organization is how we stop paying that tax. It's about externalizing the burden.
Create lists, daily tasks, expenses, groceries.
When that information is on paper or a screen, your brain no longer has to reserve that precious working memory to hold on to it.
The trick isn't just making lists, though. It's learning to prioritize. When you're faced with a massive to-do list, you need a system to decide which tasks have a near deadline and which can be moved.
That's how you prevent that feeling of overwhelming dread that just shuts down your mental energy.
And your scheduling has to be realistic. Avoiding deadlines or procrastinating just leads to last-minute rushing, which is exhausting and anxiety-inducing.
And you have to learn to focus. Avoid the constant distractions of checking email or social media while you're working. That constant switching just fragments your attention and burns through mental energy surprisingly quickly.
And we also need to talk about physical organization.
Yes. Declutter your workspace daily. A clean, organized environment makes it easier to relax. If your home is full of stuff you don't use or need, that visual noise creates a low-level background stress.
So get rid of unneeded items to limit that energy drain.
Now let's tackle emotional exhaustion. A massive drain comes from people-pleasing fatigue.
This is why learning the power of no is absolutely vital.
You have to respect your own physical and mental limitations. Politely declining extra requests like overtime or social events when you're already spread thin prevents you from sacrificing your own reserves.
You can also delegate tasks at work or at home. You don't have to do it all yourself.
And the sources are really blunt about this. Most stress is self-induced.
The emotional energy you spend chasing unrealistic standards is completely wasted. Ditch perfectionism.
Recognize that your best effort is genuinely good enough. Focusing your energy on what you can control instead of worrying about what you can't immediately preserves your emotional reserves.
And negative emotions are the most powerful energy drains at all.
Anger, resentment, guilt. They are active consumers of your vitality. They maintain a state of low-level internal conflict that just exhausts you.
And this is where forgiveness acts as the ultimate energy booster. First, forgive yourself.
Yes. Stop reliving past mistakes and carrying that guilt around. Letting go of self-blame is an immediate reduction in stress, and it leads to a palpable increase in vitality.
And second, forgive others.
Holding grudges, maintaining that state of resentment, it's like keeping an open wound that just continuously bleeds emotional energy.
And forgiveness isn't about condoning the action.
Not at all. It's about choosing to let go of the past hurt so you can dedicate your energy to living the life you deserve now. It is an act of self-preservation.
So, what does this all mean? We started by acknowledging that chronic exhaustion is a multifaceted issue. It demands a multifaceted solution, touching on our physical, mental, and emotional reserves.
And the initial step is non-negotiable. You have to rule out underlying medical conditions.
But if you're medically clear, you reverse that chronic fatigue by stabilizing the 4 pillars. Fueling your body with sustainable energy.
Enhancing your efficiency through movement and quality rest.
Eliminating that cognitive drag through organization.
And managing internal conflict through emotional stress management.
The goal here isn't some sudden, drastic lifestyle overhaul that just leaves you feeling overwhelmed.
No, it's about sustainable change. Take these strategies one day at a time. Implement one small positive shift and just watch how that small adjustment helps you become a more vital, energetic version of yourself.
And here's a final thought for you to consider as you navigate the daily grind. Our sources emphasize that holding on to negative emotions like resentment and guilt expends precious emotional energy every single day.
So if your energy is depleted by every thought and feeling, what is the calculated cost of maintaining one significant grudge for a full day in terms of SOCUS, stress hormones, and lost vitality versus the immediate stabilizing energy boost gained from practicing active forgiveness?
Something to consider as you choose where to focus your resources today.
Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
All right, this is Hayward Podworks, and that's today's episode. If this helped you, do me a favor, hit follow, leave a quick rating, and share it with one person who'd get value. Want the extras, links, and new drops? Check the show notes. Until next time, stay sharp, stay consistent, and keep building. Hayward Podworks. We'll talk soon.